I'm Chi.
Hi, I'm Nikita.
Hi, I'm Miss Ngiam.
Hi, I'm Mr. Jansen.
And hi, I'm Mr. Quek.
Welcome to the 4th episode of Talking Artefactually, Tales of BBSS.
In this series, we invite guests to share their memories about BBSS through various artifacts.
Today we have 3 guests here with us.
Hello, I'm Mr. Jansen Joseph. I joined Bukit Batok Secondary in 1992 as a beginning teacher. I was head of humanities sometime in 1996 and then was appointed program director sometime in the year 2003.
Hi, I'm Miss Ngiam. I joined Bukit Batok Secondary School in 1998 and I was here until 2010. So in my 12 years, I cannot remember chronologically what did I do, but I was an English and mathematics teacher and I took care of the concert band and I was at times the dean of different levels and at times the program director for youth leadership.
Hi, Mr. Quek here. I joined the school in July 1997. Yeah, physics teacher, then physics coordinator, senior teacher. Yeah, like her, I can't remember the order. I'm still a physics teacher and my CCAs was NCC Land. Then for a period of time I was in St. John and now I'm back to NCC Land. Yeah.
So teachers, could you maybe tell us how your first impression of BBSS was like and your experience in the early days?
Okay.
Oh, when I first stepped into BBSS in 1992, I was welcomed by Mr. Tan Kim Sui. So I felt that very welcoming atmosphere. It was during the holidays, but he took me around the school and showed me around the school. And then when the first batch of the students came after the holidays, I was given 12 classes of Sec 1 classes. Yes. Yeah, so it's a whole cohort, 6 normal academic and 6 express classes.
That's a lot.
So there's a lot and a lot of marking, but as a beginning teacher, I taught geography and the whole focus was to teach the subject. But as I progress on, I think you begin to feel the energy of the students and how they respond to you. So you begin to focus more on them rather than the subject that you are teaching. And I think probably Mr. Quek and Ms. Ngiam will all share the same experiences as myself, the engagement with the students rather than just the subjects that we are teaching.
I think when I first became a teacher in Bukit Batok Secondary, I joined in the middle of the year. So I joined in July. So the first class, I was given 4 classes to teach at that time. And that time it was still afternoon session and morning sessions for schools. So I taught in the afternoon session. I was given Sec 1 and Sec 2 classes to teach. As a beginning teacher, I was given normal academic and normal tech classes to teach. And at that time, I didn't really know what that meant. And then when I started there, I realized that it meant a lot of challenges because the students are a lot more active. I actually remember the first class that I taught was a bunch of boys, Sec 2, Sec 2C. And why was it a bunch of boys? It was a whole class of boys at that time because at that time the school principal felt that at lower sec, if possible, we'll have all girls class and all boys class so that they can learn better. So I taught, there were only 2 classes of normal academy at that time. 1 class of girls, 1 class of boys, and I taught both. The boys were very active and always getting into trouble and therefore getting me into trouble with them. And there were several occasions where I had to mete out punishments that I never thought I would do, like make them run around the concourse after school so that they will be the last class to go home as a punishment. Yeah, a lot of things happened with this class. If we can share later, I will tell you one of the most epic stories. Because right now I'm still friends with the boys and they are all grown up, they are fathers now. And we still talk about that particular epic moment where they bullied me till I cried. My first experience as a teacher here was, Bukit Batok is a very nurturing school. I had a lot of colleagues who supported me. The first colleagues who came to me and to ask me what class I was teaching, then I said, oh, 2C. They literally pat me on my back and said, 2C, take care. I was like, why? Then when I found out, I was like, okay. And thankfully, it was only 6 months with them. We ended on a nice note at the end of the year, and I stayed on for 12 years because I really love this place and I really love the students and the colleagues, and we had really good spirit. you know, and I did not leave because I was unhappy. I left on a really happy note. Yeah.
I remember those years also, and the discipline was a priority.
It was all good.
Yeah, so I remember the Sec 1 classes in the evening, you know, if they were not behaving, they were the last classes to leave the parade square. And the parents would all be waiting, but the parents were also very supportive. They knew that we were doing something that would improve the conduct of their children. And I, on reflection, I thought those early years were critical because the tone and the discipline was set for BBSS.
Yes.
Built on the heritage of Mrs. Belinda Charles, the first principal.
Yes.
Yeah, and I still hear stories of her, Mrs. Belinda Charles, about her footstep, clap, 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 no, shouting at students to behave. So I think the Mrs. Belinda Charles and the principals that followed, I think they set the right tone for BBSS for many of the opportunities that came later.
When I first started, Mr. Suparman was the principal, and in the middle of teaching, he would be walking around, making rounds around the school, and there was one time so frightening. He actually stood outside my class with that 2C boys. Then he extended his arm through the window, pointed at one of the boys and said, "You, pull up your tie." Whoa! I was like, as a beginning teacher, I was, you know, so frightened. But I also could understand that the tone of discipline was very serious in the school. Yeah. And that was really good to help me out with the boys. Yeah.
I came in July 97. It was Mr. Lim Lai Chuan's last 6 months. Then come January 98, Mr. Suparman was a principal. Yes, Mr. Suparman is a no-nonsense principal. He will patrol the corridors with a cane in one hand. Alright, and back then, students who don't behave, we will send it out to class. And the students will beg us, don't. I stay back for you, I clean the table, I sweep the floor.
Just send me to Mr. Suparman.
Because they know that if it's outside the class, along the corridor, and if Mrs. Suparman walks past, okay, that's it. He will be to the office and caning.
Okay, so members of BBSS are now called BBSS. Was it always this case?
Oh, I remember when I think it was Mrs. Lisha Key's time. We were trying to find a short form, you know, instead of Bukit Batok secondary students. Many were thrown up as possibilities. One was Bukit Batokians, you know.
Batokians.
It didn't go down very well with the teachers.
Yeah.
And among the students themselves were using the word BBSians. So we said if the students are already, you know, if that is part of the student culture, BBSian, then we retain that. So that's how it came to be BBSians. It's quite nice.
There were so many funny ones that came out, were like the buttocks, Batokians. All didn't sit very well. So BBSians was, I think it sounds nice, and it really builds that cohesiveness within the school.
Talking about cohesiveness, you were here during the SARS outbreak, right? So maybe could you tell us how your experience was like that during such a crisis, teaching students and all whatnot?
I think Mr. Tan Sung Yang was the principal, right?
Yes.
During the SARS period.
Yeah.
You can elaborate.
When SARS happened, first there was a school closure. Students were told to stay at home.
How long? I can't remember. 1 week, 2 weeks? Can't remember.
It started off, I think, 7 days. Then extended by a few more days. Yeah. So this period of time, the teachers came to school. Okay. We came here to prepare worksheets and upload. There was no SLS, no whatever, nothing.
I think back then, not everybody has a computer at home.
Yeah.
Because it was back in 2003. So computers were not something that every home has.
Teachers came back to school, we prepare worksheets, soft copies and whatever, send to them online.
No, posted. I remember the envelopes and the stamps.
Oh, is it?
We actually posted to the students' homes for them to do.
Online post, yes, I remember. So as teachers, it was quite a mad rush at that time because we have to suddenly flip and put everything into worksheets for our students, you know, and send them out so that they will have materials at home. And contacting the students back then was different too because 2000s, no handphone. Not everybody has a handphone.
You literally call one by one.
And there's no WhatsApp. Oh my God, I don't know how we survived without WhatsApp back then. No group chat, you know. So to contact students is really by phone call. And to keep in touch with them by phone call, we came up with class system. form teacher will contact the chairman, then the chairman contact the 2 vice chairmen, then we dwindled down to the rest of the class. We established this kind, then the last person who received the message calls back the teacher or something like that. Then we know that the messages have reached out. So that was how we managed things in the past. In the past, my God. Yeah, so back then in SARS, things were really different from how it is now. Not to say that things now with COVID are easier, it isn't. But back then with SARS, I think it gave us a glimpse of how we would manage if we had sudden school closure again. And that started off with us having, I think if I'm not wrong, back in Bukit Batok, we had to plan one entire chapter of lessons to be held online. And whether or not the students were at home, we had that one chapter of classes of content to be held online. So students had to go to computer lab to access those lessons. That's how we started that groundwork on preparation for such pandemics. Yeah.
So this photo here is from the school trip to Nepal in 2000. Teachers, can you tell us more about it?
Wow.
Wow, yeah. Look at
Portrait.
that. Wow.
Wow, so young eh.
2000. Look at me, look at you. Oh my
Young
goodness.
and handsome. Wow, I also no wrinkles.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
photo. This was an epic trip.
Yeah.
Okay, the students who went for this trip are still talking about it now and then on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I brought this stack of photographs here. These are my own personal ones from the trip. And the reason why we have photographs like that was because back in 2000 there were no digital cameras, no such thing. So it was all film camera, and I brought 7 rolls of film along with me for this trip, and I was snapping away. So these are. Oh, you saw, of course. That's why I got so many things.
This trip came about in 2000 because during that years, right? I don't know whether you all remember 1997, Teach Less, Learn More.
Yes.
Yes.
Teach less, learn more.
1997, Teach Less, Learn More. A lot was focused on student learning rather than subjects. You know, subjects were just a pathway to student learning. And the ministry was encouraging schools to be innovative, to do things differently. So we thought, year 2000 sounds like a very good milestone. So let's try and do something beyond the usual trips to Cambodia, Malaysia that we all had lah. So that's how it came about. It was first organized as a trip for student leaders. So it was open to the uniform groups. BBSS has a lot of uniform groups, and the prefectorial board or councillor, I can't remember.
Prefectorial board back then. Yes.
So it was actually targeted at the student leaders to build their sense of adventure. But among students, they will talk, oh, I'm going for this trip. So in the end, many students who were not in the UGs or were not prefects, they also wanted to be in the trip.
Yep.
So that's the good thing about BBSS. We were quite flexible, so it was open up to Sec 3 students, if I'm not wrong. Was it Sec 4?
Sec 3 and 4.
Sec 3 lah.
Sec 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I look at them, I think,
Yeah.
Sec 4.
So I think this time Sec 4 cannot go on trip already.
Yeah,
Even
now
without
no more, right?
exam year, right? Yeah.
No, it was after the exam, isn't it? November.
This
No,
was
no,
after,
no.
but I remember there were 4N going on to 5N,
Yeah.
so they were still included lah.
Yeah. So that was great lah. We had a very enthusiastic group of students, and we trusted them that they will be responsible, and so that's how this trip came about.
I remember we had 27 students accompanied by 9 teachers, right? 9 of us, 9 teachers went. So Mr. Jansen was the trip leader. I was one of the accompanying teachers, and I was very young back then. So
We all were.
much younger, more energy, and it was a really fun trip because if I am not wrong, that was my first overseas trip with the school that required taking a flight out. Yeah. Before that, there were geography field trips on the bus to Malaysia. So, we have many memories, many photos for this trip. I don't know which memory we want to share right now.
The white water.
Okay, we have photographs here, not really great ones. Okay, this one I must share
They will
because,
edit.
because later on when the alumni sees this video, they will say, why you never share about this moment? Wow, okay. Back then in 2000, there was, I don't know whether it's legal to say this, but no such thing as RAMS, Risk Access Management System. Not say there was no such thing, but it was not an enforced procedure that we have to do before we go on trips.
It was
So-
not documented.
Not
but-
documented.
but
It was just
definitely-
consent form.
Not that we never
yeah,
think
as,
about
as
it. Yeah.
teachers, we will definitely think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we went for this trip, part of the activity was actually whitewater rafting. You know, and it's not something that I think schools are not allowed to carry out right now. So very precious, these memories. So we went on a whitewater rafting trip, and I'm not sure what you will be able to see from this photograph later. Not very well taken, but it's just the waters and the rafts that we were in at that time. And I have another photo here that showed we had safety, we had life vests, helmets, and paddle. So I think there were maybe about 7 or 8 persons in one raft. So it was very fun because we saw, the water's so calm, very fun, let's just go paddling down the river. But no, there were rapids that were around the corner as we go down the river, and the rapids were quite scary. So the guide will tell us, next rapid is called Devil's Waterfall. I was like, wow, this kind of name, my heart's scared, you know. But so fun, we had so much fun. There was this one moment, there was one raft with quite a number of students in it. That raft actually overturned in the rapids. So because all of us were around, but we are not like next to each other, you know. So we saw them overturn, was like, oh no, my goodness. So we all paddled towards them and we tried to fish all the students out of the water. The raft actually went upside down, and the students went into the water, and they could have been sucked in by the current or whatever. But thankfully, they all surfaced because they had the life vest. We managed to fish everybody out into our own rafts, overturn their raft for them, turn it back up rather, and then put them back in. And the amazing thing about this was, the students were actually not frightened. Everyone that we fished out was laughing. I was like, okay, light-hearted moment. They were all laughing and having so much fun. I think at that time, maybe because the students did not recognize the danger that could have been. But we were really lucky and very blessed that we were all safe and sound, and came back with all these happy memories instead of it being a unhappy thing.
I remember shouting, count, whether all were counted for or not. So, yeah. But yeah, that was something.
Yeah, that was something. That was really fun. So we whitewater rafted down, and you know, starting at endpoint are different, and then after that we had lunch, and yeah. That was towards the last part of the trip, because the earlier part of the trip we actually went on a trek to the Annapurna mountain. I think it's called Annapurna, yeah. And we did 5 or 6 days in the mountains.
Yeah.
Why was it epic? We couldn't shower for the 5 or 6 days. Really, no showering, no such thing. It was powder bath, not unheard of. Last time it's not like we can Google what you can do if you don't shower, you know. So and it was too cold to shower anyway. I had like 4 layers on at night to sleep. 4 layers, beanie, everything else. I think it's the coldest I've ever experienced in my life so far. Yeah.
And one of the students brought a telescope. His hobby, you know. So
Rudy.
Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy
So he
went
actually
Rudy.
conducted a class.
Rudy.
He gathered all the participants, and then he set up his telescope at the
Starry
in
night.
Nepal. The stars is amazing. It's not like Singapore. So he introduced. He did a lesson. You know, so interesting.
Astrology, is it, or astronomy?
Yeah.
Which one?
Astronomy.
Astronomy.
Yeah, and introduced us to the
Yes.
what
Through Rudy,
all
I
the
learned
stars,
Orion,
all the
Belt,
Orion,
Seven
yeah.
Sisters.
Constellations.
Yes, all the constellations. It was really so nice, because imagine we're all so cold, sitting outside our tents in absolute darkness. And in order to see the stars, we have to turn off all our torchlights. Then slowly your eyes adjust, right? And then Rudy will be teaching us. He will be looking. Then he said, "Okay, I found it." Then he will turn on his torch, and there will be this beam, you know, like a lightsaber, like that. Then he'll say, "Follow my beam." Then he will zoom, go up. Then all of us will woo, and then we will see all that one, and then we will be able to recognize that's like Seven Sisters or whatever it was. It was so beautiful, so wonderful. You know, that was like before bedtime. We would gather every night before bedtime, gather in the cold, sit outside the tent, huddle and chit chat. You know, so amazing. To give a perspective of how dark it really is, right? I have 2 photographs here. This was inside our dinner tent. Okay, so what happens is we have individual tents to sleep in, and then we have a dinner tent to eat in. So this dinner tent table, a long table is set up. It's a long tent. Then we'll all sit there. So this photograph is taken with flash. This was the mistake before that, without flash. And this one is nicer because it really shows how dark it is, and how, you know, how cozy it really is. Yeah. So all this food time was really nice. We'll sit down, sit together, pass the food around, you know, yeah. And how did we get the support for the trip? I have this photograph here to show the entire team, including us. I think we didn't realize even till after the trip that we were supported by, I think, at least 30 Sherpas who carried all the heavy stuff for us. We carry our own backpack, but the Sherpas will be the one carrying our tents, the pots and pans, the food and everything, and they will be like advanced team.
Yeah.
So we are trekking happily, enjoying everything, and they are way ahead. So by the time when we reach, like, it's macam there's a hotel there, you know,
Pizza.
Pizza, they
Yeah.
made pizza, they baked for us, you know, and they were our tents, everything was pitched for us. So that trip was very nice because it was not much of hardship. We didn't have to pitch our own tents. We didn't have to cook our own food. The Sherpas did all that for us, and this is them, you know, at the end of the trip. Well, I can go on forever. This trip was so good.
I think part of school culture is stories. So if the students continue to talk about their adventure in Nepal, right? I think it's a legacy of sorts, although it's not planned that way. It's just an adventure trip. But it's nice to hear our students and even teachers still talking about the trip. So that is part of the BPSS story.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is another meal. This was breakfast, if you remember. And this one, they didn't set up the tent because they said morning so nice. They removed the tent, so we sat out in the open to eat breakfast. It was so nice. Yeah. So these are really, you know, Nepal is a very precious memory that we share with the students. Yeah, for this.
Well, I remember the first night. I think we arrived at night.
Yes, we arrived at our checkpoint at night.
So it was so dark.
Yes, yes.
I remember I was the last because I was the so-called group leader, right? So I had to crawl on the pathway, you know,
Yeah, because we
feel
couldn't
my way
see.
around. I can't see, and I can only see one light in
You know
front.
why we can't see? We were not prepared to be trekking in the dark.
Yeah, in the
we
dark,
didn't have our
very
torchlights with us. They
Yeah.
were in our, you know,
Yeah.
in the other bags that the
Yeah.
Sherpas carried for us.
So I was concerned. I was quite worried. Oh, no,
What told how,
is this
you know?
going to be like that every day? But thankfully, it's not because we walk only in the daytime. Yeah.
I remember it was at night. We took a longer time in the first day because we were so amazed by whatever that we saw along the track. Everywhere is take photo, take photo, take photo. You know. Then we had rest because all tired.
Oh, you remember the boy who
The eye.
the eye?
Yeah,
First
Taufik
his
lah.
Taufik lah. First his leg was injured.
Yes, during the
Then went to the
trekking.
doctor. I think the doctor said take this 3 times a day, but he took 3 at the same time.
He took the wrong dosage of the
So,
medication.
so Miss
His eyes
Ngiam,
swell up.
Miss Ngiam called me when we were all in the room, in our hotel room. Miss Ngiam called me, hey, Miss Jansen, I think you better come down. So I was wondering what happened. So when I went in and I opened the door and I looked at Taufik's eyes, his eyes were like bulging, you know.
Yeah, goggles.
Yeah, so thankfully the hotel helped us
The hotel.
to contact a doctor and gave him antibiotics, so
Yeah.
he was okay.
Thankfully, he was okay. And then, you know, back then,
Yeah.
I think he. This is one of the photos. Maybe this one cannot share, but this one we were in the hotel room
Oh.
with Taufik
Yeah.
recovering,
Yeah.
and then like we were gathered in the hotel room at night to
Yeah.
chit chat. Also, that's how close teachers were with students back then as well. Yeah, and I mean this part about Taufik having his eye swelling up was after the climb, before the whitewater raft.
Oh.
Luckily, he was okay enough to go for whitewater rafting. Otherwise, we would have to stay back with him in the hotel. Yeah.
This is the very first banner produced by NCC Land. Mr. Quek, would you like to show us the banner?
Sure. Come.
Yeah, y'all go.
Oh.
It's huge.
So, Mr. Quek, could you tell us more about this banner and the memories you made with it?
Well, like I said earlier, I joined this school in July '97, and NCC Land is my first CCA. Back then was we had student-made banners, or it's all amateur grade. So you have
Cloth mahjong paper.
cloth mahjong paper, and then they paint their own. Alright, it was very creative, but some were quite unsightly. Like
Not
was it-
lasting also.
Yeah, newspapers stuck at the back and whatever. I can't recall who, I think it's Mr. Supaman or whatever. He said that look, we have to have some proper banners. Other CCS were making their own, so I think I better make some. I went on to craft the first NCC Land banner. So okay, obviously the word NCC Land must be there, but it cannot be like, you know, the badge and then the word NCC Land and nothing else. So I thought, what could go? So this word pride and honor was on one of the NCC unit T-shirt. You see, so I just took the word and put it there. I remember I went to this factory at Sims Avenue. Okay, I made the banner and whatever. I still remember the cost. It's only $100. Yeah, it's a good bargain. So got it done, and I put it up. And I will always put it up at one spot that I think few CCAs will realize. I will put it up at the place at level 2 above the school concourse. Okay, just next to the school hall. Because anyone that comes in, anyone that comes in from the main gate will see the banner first.
Very strategic, this one. He's so passionate about his NCC then. I remember him.
I remember my first HOD, Mrs. Rosie Lau. You know, once I think she was so fed up with me. She came and tell me, "Hey Quek, you must understand, MOE posts you here as a physics teacher, not NCC land teacher."
But that time there were so many uniform groups, and we were healthy. There was healthy competition,
Yes.
especially at the start of the year when we wanted to recruit the Sec 1s. So there were banners all over.
Yes.
Many were handmade.
Yes.
The students had so much fun making their banners. CCA fair was always so fun, right?
And back then, I remember I would know all my cadets by name and by their class.
Cannot run away one.
Yeah, you can't run.
So Mr. Quek helped the NCC land in high discipline, train the boys really well. Speaking of CCA fairs, I think I was in charge of the concert band back then. So one of the very fun CCA fairs, I don't remember which year, was where we decided to coin the name for ourselves called the Bandits. And then during the fair, the students used cardboard and made a little bandwagon. They call it a bandwagon. So it's like a little vehicle, then student can stand inside and then strap it on the shoulders and walk around. And then we colored it and display it and call it like hop on the bandwagon, something like that. Then we went around with the percussion, to create all the noise, and we just walk around the whole school during the fair to attract attention,
Around the concourse is good.
Yeah, around the concourse, so it was so fun.
Concourse is a hive of activity.
Yeah, CCA fair is always so fun. I mean, unfortunately now with COVID, you can't have your CCA fairs, but really back then, it was an opportunity, not so much. I mean, I saw it as two things. One thing was, of course, to recruit new members and to attract people to join the band or join the CCAs. But the other part of CCA Fair largely was actually for the members to come up with promotional material to talk about the CCAs and to tell people what we do and who we are. I think that part for the members is actually more precious, because recruiting members always comes slowly later on. Teacher, my friend want to join the band. Teacher, my friend want to join the band. It comes later. Yeah. So CCA Fair was very fun because it was team effort. And every CCA, there was no fighting or whatever. Everybody was like having fun with each other, promoting all the CCAs in the school. I think that was the fun days. Really.
You talked about like how it was really maintaining discipline, right? But to compare, maybe in the past and now, is there any differences in the way CCA is like conducted?
Okay, I can only speak for NCC land. Alright, it's very different. When I first came, boys being boys, they're naughty, they're cheeky. Okay, and some of the boys are from the infamous 2C. Okay, but the old school building is that when you drive in, it's a long driveway.
Yes.
And then to the right, there's a small patch of grass with some fruit trees there. Okay, when the rambutan starts to bear fruits, they will go and pluck the rambutans and eat and whatever. So Mr. Neil and Mr. Singh will always catch them and come and tell me, "Where your boys pluck the rambutans again?" I say, "Okay, fine, I'll do something." Okay, talking nicely to them won't help. Being military, CCA so I tell them, okay, I see any one of you boys pluck rambutans again, I will pluck your rank. Okay, and that's all. Yeah. And okay, that was 1998, 1999. Fast forward to 2006. we all knew that come June 2007, we are shifting out of this place temporarily for prime, and the rambutan trees will all be chopped down. So I think 2006 November, or after the final exam, so there were a few more CCAs, but those VCCAs are like, okay, just gather, do some revision here and there, nothing much, man. I follow in the boys, and I think the tree somehow knew their impending fate. Okay, so it rarely bear fruit during that time of the year, but in year 2006, they all bear fruit.
Wow.
Okay, so I told the boys, okay, fine.
Go and pluck.
Yeah, I said for the next 5 minutes, okay,
Pluck as many
I'm
as
just
you
going to
can.
close my eyes, okay, I'm going to pretend nothing happened, or I'm not going to see, okay, see the fruits there, go and pluck. The boys just stood there.
Huh? Don't know how to climb tree.
No,
Or they scared?
Trying to read his mind.
Trying to read your mind. Are you for real?
no, I look at them. You are not going to pluck? Fine, I pluck for you. I pluck and I open up and I show them, hey, come on, eat. It's sweet.
So scary.
And the boys told me, sir, the one got ants. I thought, oh my god. Back then, the late 1990s, 97, 98, the boys were going to pluck and they will eat. Got ants, sweep it off.
10 years later,
Yeah,
different.
10 days.
Got end the ones.
Yeah. I don't know now. Yeah.
Now no fruit trees for comparison.
Actually, when I look back the years, right, because BBSS had so many uniform groups, the uniform groups with the right teachers leading the group, it really built a kind of common culture, among, because everybody looks at each other, oh, you're from MPCC, oh, you're from NCC Land, you're from NCCC. We're all part of the uniform group, and I think that helped to add a certain positive tone
Yes.
to the school.
There's a lot of unity.
Right.
There's a
But
lot of
at first
unity.
it was individual, and then because of the restructuring, student leadership became quite critical, right? So there was a few years where we tried to gel the groups instead of competing, although it's healthy competition. We tried to bring them a bit more together. So I don't know whether it went down well. Every year the uniform groups will compete to be the guard of honor.
Oh,
Right.
yes,
Right.
Yes.
So there was one day
Yeah.
where we just experiment. Okay, let's have a guard of honor that comprise, I think, about 3
Oh,
members from each uniform group, so that there is a common vision, common trust, and something common that will bind the students together. That we are here, although we all belong to different uniform groups, but we all BBSians.
Yes.
Right, and we all learn things differently, very military-like under Mr. Quek, a lot of fun under this very fun teacher. But we all identify ourselves as BBSians.
Yes.
And we believe quite strongly the school name depends on the students. It's not about what we teachers tell the
Do for them or
community.
tell them,
It's
right?
what you all tell the community. This is who we are. Right, because
spirit is ground
you all walk
up.
around, students walk around the neighborhood, right? And people look at you. If you see how you behave, or this represents Bukit Batok Secondary.
Yes.
It's not what Ms. Ngiam tell me, it's not what Mr. Kwek tell me,
Yeah.
but the student represents.
There was so much school
BBSS.
pride.
Yeah.
There was so much school pride.
And I remember Mrs. Lisha Key reminded us, our school name is Bukit Batok Secondary School, and this is Bukit Batok constituency. So it's like a flagship school. Although there are many schools around, but because of our school name, Bukit Batok Secondary School, Mrs. Key reminded us, this is our flagship school.
Yes.
We are the school
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Bukit Batok,
I think it was also during that period with Mr. Supaman also, before Mrs. Key, right? Mr. Supaman and Vice Principal Ms. Tan Ivy, when the school went through this kind of envisioning. I'm old enough or senior enough to remember when schools in 1990s early 1990s, schools had no vision one,
No mission, no vision.
Not stated lah, but maybe they have, but it's not so in a banner.
We only had the motto, that's
on the
all.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, school motto and
No
school
vision, mission,
objectives.
values.
I remember looking at the manual. I
BMP
think it's
was
still here
underlined.
somewhere. Just school objectives,
Yeah.
But then I think MOE encouraged schools to have a vision and a demonstrated vision. So the staff and the teachers went through a period with the school leaders, Mr. Supaman, Mr. Naibi, and that's how we ended with that's how we crafted the school philosophy, which I saw just now on the school wall.
Yes.
Every child is unique and has unique abilities to be developed. That was Miss Tan Ivy's legacy, because she's very good at language. So we were proposing certain things, and then she looked through, and that's how she vetted. And the premier school was also from during that period. And abundance mentality.
Also from them,
Miss
yes.
Tan
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes, from
So for us who have left the school, right, Miss Ngiam and myself, these are the things that will trigger us
Yes.
about our experience in PBSS. It's the netball trip, it's the NCC, rambutan,
Yes.
things like that will trigger our memories, and we all, from these little anecdotes, right, we all weave together this fabric, this story of Bukit Batok Secondary School. Yeah, it's not separate events or 1992 like that, 1995 like that, but everything together somehow there is a flow, there is a common thing that binds all this. And what is a common thing? Students like you all. Yeah, because I think we saw the potential in Bukit Batok Secondary School students, and the students responded to what we were trying to do. If the students didn't respond and remain disengaged, I think we would have failed. But I think because the student responded, starting very early, as I mentioned earlier, with the discipline at the right tone, at the Mrs. Belinda Charles and all that. So that built on, and with the encouragement of MOE, of course, I believe this is where Bukit Batok now stands lah. Everybody builds on something in the previous batch or the previous generation.
Yes.
Agreed? Yeah.
Even until today, I remember the abundance mentality. It took us quite a period of time to come up with this these two words, abundance mentality, and then it became slowly, we grew on us, became a culture.
Right.
And even after I have left BBSS for 12 years, 12 years.
You remember, right?
Yeah, I still remember, be our best, abundance mentality, habits of mind,
Habits of mind.
Yeah. Wow, speaking of habits of mind, that's another topic in itself.
Mr. Quek, you shared about visions and mottos. Speaking of them, maybe can you tell us how the school values came about?
It was during Mrs. Key's time. One of the staff contact time, we talked about it, about the school values. Okay, what do we want as our school values? And so teachers start throwing ideas and whatever on the whiteboard, and so we finally settled down on 7. Then one teacher said, "Wow, so many. How to remember all?" Then one of my ex-colleague, I remember clearly, is Mrs. Goh Peng Chang. Okay, former maths teacher come senior teacher. She said, "Easy, just remember respect." So it so happened that the 7 school values that we shortlisted, okay, if you take the first letter of each value, okay, it forms neatly the word respect. So yeah, that's how we remember the school values, and through the acronym respect. Then later, when we have the new school buildings and whatever, this one I'm not so sure. I think it's Mrs. Rosie Lau, the VP then, who named one block in the school after one school value. That's how we have the self-discipline block, the reflection block, all this.
That was one of the ways we wanted to infuse the values physically, into the school by putting it, onto the blocks, so that when students walk around, they see, then they will remember, and then slowly it will infuse in and be kept in our minds. Yeah, that was one of the ways. Yes.
Miss Ngiam, just now earlier on you mentioned about the HOM program. Could you share about that?
Wow, HOM. Habits of mind. Wow, okay. Habits of mind. I think Jansen can also chip in for this.
Yeah.
I cannot remember which year it started. Can you remember?
Mr. Tan Soon
It was
Yong.
under the principal, Mr. Tan Soon Yong.
Yeah.
He wanted something that our school could be a niche for. And he said we'll go into looking deeper into habits of mind. Dr. Art Costa's habits of mind. So we started this whole journey on how to put this into the school as our niche area by first training a small group of staff for it. And then it grew from there, the small group of staff, and then we went into developing and training all the staff. And then after that, all teachers will have to, speak habits of mind in our language, and then we infuse it to the rest of the school. Two of us were the first few teachers to be included in the first team to go in to learn about habits of mind. So at that time, we had the very nice opportunity to travel overseas, to go to other countries to learn about how other schools in other countries carry out habits of mind in their curriculum. So I was very blessed to have the opportunity to go all the way to San Francisco at that time. Oh yes, San Francisco and Sir Francis Drake High School, if I'm not wrong. So it was a short trip, not very long, where we went to the school, we spoke to the principal there, and we had a little habits of mind program with them, and then after that did a little bit of sightseeing on our own. So just 7 days. But to date, that's the furthest I've ever flown. All the way to San Francisco. I think Jansen went somewhere else.
Yes, the US as well for habits of mind. Also to visit schools and to learn from them.
To learn from them. So after that, when we came back, we know, there are 16 habits of mind, right? And then we broke the staff into smaller groups, each one in charge of one habit, and to develop lesson plans for it. It was a very massive thing because we had to cut out curriculum time, 1 period a week for HOM, and then we have to develop the 16 habits at Sec 1 to Sec 4 and plan out the whole thing. So I'm very fortunate, I feel, to be in this group because it gave me a chance to develop something in the curriculum way, infuse it in. And I was in charge of developing the lesson plans for gathering data through all senses. So that one was challenging because gather data through all senses. So I remember I had to brainstorm quite a bit with the team to come up with a lesson plan for it. And then coming out the lesson plan also meant coming up with the materials for the teachers to carry out this lesson during that period. So for example, we will have, next week is gathering data through all senses week. So I have to go and make sure that the lesson packages were ready so that the teachers would just have to pick up the package, go to class and be able to conduct the lesson, and so that was really a lot of learning, for us. And I'm really happy to see the habits of mind has stayed on in BBSS until today, and it's really good to see because I do believe in the 16 habits of mind. I believe that they are really the different values are very key to how a person can be intelligent, right? Is that was what it says?
Intelligence.
Intelligence, yes.
I remember you cutting watermelon.
Yeah.
As part of the lesson.
Gathering data because the lesson was how are we going to get the students to engage all their senses or as many senses as possible?
Right.
They said, I will bring fruits into the classroom. Then get them to feel it, touch it, smell it, see it, and eat it and taste it. So all the 5 senses have to be brought in, So that was how. I'm not sure whether that lesson is still being conducted the same way
But
now.
we were experimenting.
We were experimenting. And so massive because imagine I have to buy all the fruits, the cutting board, the knife, everything for the lesson.
Even darts.
Striving
for accuracy. So the students actually played darts in the classroom. Start to realize how difficult to get the bullseye.
Yes, so many. I remember the habits of mind today. Persistence, striving for accuracy, thinking.
Thinking flexibly.
Thinking flexibly, speaking, communicating clearly. All those. Those are really good times.
Good learning.
Good learning. For us teachers as well as for the students, I think it's very good learning. Yeah. Okay.
So, here's the CD-ROM that Miss Ngiam made for her concert band students, every batch. So Miss Ngiam, I see a lot of faces here. Who are they?
Wow, who are they? Okay, come. So how did this CD come about? Actually, it looks nice outside. Inside, it's just a regular CD-ROM. Okay, so this CD contains photographs from 2001 to 2004 of the BBSS concert band. So in the past, what we always had was a passing out parade at the end of the year where incoming band members and then outgoing ones, the leaders of the band. So for those who are graduating, I made this gift for all the graduating members. So what I did was I will compile all the photos, the past 4 years of photographs and videos, if there were videos back then, of them, and compile it in, sort out by year, and then every student will have a copy of this when they graduate, commemorate all the memories that they have made as a band member. So that was how this came about. Then how did I design this? Every year I made a different design for this CD cover, and for this particular year, I thought I would put in the students who are graduating, and the photo of them at Sec 4 or 5 and the photo of them at Sec 1. So you will actually see, and when they see, they will know that this is them. So you will see like Sec 1 and Sec 4 photo, Sec 1 and Sec 5 photo, and then when they received it, they will laugh about it lah, because like, you know, Sec 1 chubby and innocent looking, then Sec 4 wow, handsome already, you know, that kind of thing. So I mean, to me, I felt this would be a very good memory for the students to keep. Because but now CD is not so easy to access already, right? Nowadays computers and laptops don't come with CD player or you know this, you know. So even I myself, if I want to access and look at these right now, I don't know where to get the to see the drive.
You want? I actually have it.
You have? Okay, maybe later. Yeah, so I was doing my spring cleaning during COVID last year, and I came across this, and then I posted it on my Instagram or Facebook, and then all the band members came in and said, wow, you know, everybody was like raving about this because they remember. Yeah, and I think this is really nice. It's a very nice memory for myself as well as for them.
So Ms. Ngiam, how was the concert band CCA back in your days?
Wow, I think at the peak of the band we had 100 or more than 100 band members. I think so. So roughly there, and like Mr. Quek, I will remember all my band members by name and what class they are in, and how were we back then? When I took over the band in 1998, the band was under a different instructor, and then the students came to me and said, "Hey, teacher, can we have a band camp?" So at that time I was young, right? I was a beginning teacher, only 22 or 23 years old. I said, camp, sure, let's have it, you know? So that's how we started out with having a band camp. And then the student leaders planned the games and so on. And subsequently, every year after that, we would have a band camp. And that was really something that the students would bond together. Because during the band camp, we would have our practices. We will of course have the games and fun, and then practices even into the night. So like after dinner, we will have band practice, you know, or sectionals or whatever. And our band conductor was back then was Mr. Goh Kun Chuan. I believe he's still the band conductor now. Yeah, Mr. Goh and I work very closely together to bring up the band cohesiveness. And I believe we earned our first SYF Silver Award. I can't remember which year again. Yeah, probably 2000 or 2001. Not sure. But that was really an achievement for everybody. A breakthrough, because previously we had always been getting certificate of participation, but with all the effort by the students, you know, and how we built the band together for that unity, we achieved our first silver, and then we never stopped after that. Yeah, because the band continued to be very close, very united, and very fun. We even went to New Zealand before. Wow. Okay, should I even talk about this? Whoa, we did. Back in Mr. Tan Soon Yong's time, we had a kind of like a sister school in New Zealand called the Mahangare College. So what happened was Mahangare College sent a group of students to Singapore to visit, and we hosted them. And then at that time, I think Mr. Tan wanted to identify a group of students to be the host for this Mahangare College students. So he selected the band, so we were quite lucky that he looked on us for this. So we hosted the students, and then after that there was the opportunity to bring the band to New Zealand for a trip. And it was an epic trip as well, because we brought our instruments there to perform at New Zealand. Oh, when I think about it, I don't know how we did it at that time, but we brought 30 students, and I had to select students based with Mr. Goh Kun Chuan at that time. We have to select students based on like, so that we can form a band and perform there. So it can't be like, oh, let's bring all the good ones, and if they have, and then basically every section had to be represented, so that we can play a piece of music, right? So we selected, and I think we brought 30 students, and there were 4 teachers, and we went all the way to New Zealand. So the students actually did homestay when they were in New Zealand. So we had to pair them up with the New Zealand students there, and for can't remember how many days they did a homestay with those students, and I had the opportunity to stay at the principal's house. The teachers were hosted by the principal of Mahangari College in that, yeah. So that was the thing, and very fun. We had the opportunity to play at the school and to visit the school, and then after that I could plan for a little sightseeing for the team, for the group. And you know, back then again, not much internet, you know, so to plan. And because we have to save money, New Zealand is very expensive to go. Because we have to save money, I couldn't engage a tour operator. So who's the tour operator? Me. So I had to like, okay, go and find out where should I bring my students to go and play, how much would it cost, and then plan out the whole thing lah, and bring them there and take care of them when they are there. So it was really fun and a lot of back-end work on our part, but I think what was really important was that the students had the opportunity, you know, and they have that memory, and I think that group is here in this batch, yeah.
So when I came in 1997, the band then was military band.
Yes.
We had the mace. We
still have it.
Yeah. And the teacher then was Mr. Aziz, right?
Yes. Which I'm not sure who he is, because when I came in, then he resigned already, is it?
I think he retired.
Yeah,
he
retired.
Mr. Aziz. Then, 1998, you came, you took over the band, and then I think shortly after, Kun Chuan came.
Shortly after that.
Yeah, that's when, you know, I think you all changed to concert band back then.
Yes.
And I have fond memories because every time, school speech day, national day, or whatever, somehow me and Casey, we somehow could read each other's mind. When it comes to parade rehearsals,
he knows what you need.
He knows, yes. It's sometimes like one signal, one glance, we could communicate.
Yes.
You see, yeah. Then, also during school speech day and whatever, so the band will provide the background music while the VIPs and the guests eat in the canteen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, whenever the band has to come up, there's so much logistics. Chairs, music stand banner. The music stand banner was also made during my time. I don't know whether they're still using the same ones now. and then the uniform for the students plus the instruments, always very logistic heavy, but fun to do lah. Yeah, still at the end of the day, fun to do.
I remember because it's my NCC land boys that set up all the things for you.
Yes, we need the manpower.
Yeah.
Otherwise, by the time the students finish carrying, no more energy to blow into the instrument, you know. Yeah. Master parade last time. Right?
Yeah. Once a month.
Once a month. Last time was every Saturday during Saturday CCAs. Then the band will be there. Then all the uniform groups will march up and down the car park, and then we will play as well. Yeah.
So the 5-day week haven't started.
Haven't.
5-day week haven't started.
So
correct.
CCAs on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember we had to come back. You know.
And then sometimes the non-UG teachers will come back on Saturday to clear the marking.
Yeah, and then you know, then we will be
the school is half of activity on
managing
even Saturdays.
CCAs.
Yeah.
Snacks.
During break time.
During break time.
Yes.
Mr. Quek, can you please tell us more about what happened in this area and what kind of activities took place here in the past?
Okay, based on my memory, this area here, which starts from where the fire hydrant is to where the red cones are and the main gate. Alright, this area, this triangular area here used to be a grass patch. When I came to this school, there's already a fitness corner and some fruit trees planted here. During PE time, the students will use part of this area okay, for their PE lessons, plus the car park over there. Alright, and then during Saturday UG training, the NCC Land boys will come here for their training. We will use the fitness corner structures for training. This fitness corner, if I recall correctly, there was a pilot scheme in the early 1990s whereby physical training instructors or PTIs from the SAF were allowed to come to schools to train the boys in PE to prepare them for NS. Okay, so the so-called fitness corner, you have the low wall, the parallel bars, those are actually the standard obstacle course in the SAF back then. Alright, so I think after a few years, for reasons unknown to me, they stopped the pilot scheme, but the structures remain. The school continued to use it. Alright, and I recall one of the rambutan trees is near the low wall. So that's where some of my NCC cheeky boys, they will sit on the low wall and reach and climb and pluck the rambutans. Yeah.
I remember that wall for
Yeah.
those, you cross the wall kind of thing. Yeah, then there will be students that would try to climb over it. Then, okay lah, back then we were not so concerned about like people falling down and breaking their bones. You want to climb, go and climb. Really, that was how it was like back then. Yeah. I mean, after all, it's the school compound. Yeah.
Well, I remember sitting on the curb somewhere here during the silent reading. There was
Oh
a
my
period
God,
where
yes.
the whole school had to sit.
USSR.
Yeah, uninterrupted, silent.
Uninterrupted, sustained,
Silent reading.
Silent reading.
Yeah, so we all sit here and do our reading while the students
Every
take
morning
their
for half
reading.
an hour.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much for all
Okay.
these memorable memories. It's really good to hear all these.
Okay, thank you.
So, teachers, we've heard a lot of tales regarding the spiral staircase. Could you share some of them?
Okay, the stories about this spiral staircase being haunted is a very long one. I remember as a NPCC teacher, when we have our first camp for the Sec 1s, our new recruits, the camp at night, we would gather them at the bottom of the staircase and we would ask them, do you know why there are two temples outside of BPSS? Then of course Sec 1 they blur, why? Because this spiral staircase is haunted. Then they will, but cannot go home already, right? Because in camp.
Yes, the spiral staircase is known to be haunted. Actually, nobody knows for sure how true it is. But when we had band camps here in school back then, there were a few incidences that took place at night and which freaked the students out. It all happened around the spiral staircase at that time. So I will not tell the story here, but I think if there's any alumni watching this from the band, you will remember what I am referring to. And it happened over a few band camps, not just one. Stories lah. But somehow the students overcome all the fear and we continued to have the camp lah. Yeah, okay.
What I remember about this spiral staircase, it was from my ex-students. Okay, they told me that their seniors told them that when this campus was built in 1980s, when the workers and engineers built the scaffolding for the spiral staircase, the structure, okay, it couldn't stand. Alright, keep on collapsing. So, okay, here there are two versions. Alright, the first version was that the engineers felt that the foundation wasn't deep enough, so they dug deeper and they found a skeleton there. Okay, so after removing the skeleton and did some prayers and whatever, they continue building, and that's why it can stand. Okay, the other version is the spookier one. Alright, it's the reverse of version 1.
Sacrifice someone.
Yeah. Okay, because it couldn't stand back then, so there's some superstition and whatever. They say that maybe you put a baby's soul, okay, to bless this staircase.
Gosh.
Yeah, so it could stand. So if the second version were true, that means the remains of the baby is still underneath the staircase.
Because we didn't tear it down when we built the new school.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, when Mrs. Key and the SMC drafted the plan for the current school building, there was some discussion on whether to tear down the spiral staircase. Okay. In fact, in the old campus, there were 2 spiral staircases. This is the main one. There is a much smaller one inside the library.
Yeah, our library had 2 floors.
Yeah.
So there was an internal small spiral staircase that led up to the upper floor. But that being said, regarding haunted things, I think every school probably has their own stories of buildings being haunted, school buildings being haunted. So ours is our heritage here, which is the spiral staircase that has been here since 1986. So there are a lot of stories and there are frightening ones, but you know, these are just passed down. You don't know who told who. So up to you guys whether to believe or not. But the main thing about our spiral staircase is that it's been here ever since, and it's something that everybody remembers very fondly about, because it's always the gathering point. Gather at the spiral staircase, go to the spiral staircase. It's always the main talk thing in town. Is that what you call it? Yeah.
Yes. It's an icon.
It's our icon, that's right, yes.
And the fact that it cannot be demolished despite of the rebuilding, right? This strengthens the story and
Yes.
credibility of the story.
So, okay, we have very fond memories here too.
Yeah. Then maybe from the engineering point of view is that, okay, this one here from my ex-students who are engineers. Okay, he told me that usually the engineers would prefer to build rectangular square structures. They are much easier to build and maintain. Alright, if come to circular structures, it can be quite challenging. So in fact, Mr. Singh and Mr. Neo will know that our circular library block over there, okay, when we shifted back in 2009, from 2009 to now, that is the block that underwent quite a few times of repairs and repainting. Okay, so I believe throwback 1980s, when techniques are not so good yet, it must be a challenge to build a spiral staircase. Okay, and another practical story is that, you know, this is one sure way we CCA teachers make sure our students sleep at night so that we can also sleep.
Scare them with the story.
Yeah.
Okay, at the end of the day, I think all alumni, teachers likewise, we have a lot of love for our spiral staircase.
Yeah.
Thank you, teachers, for your interesting sharing. It was a bit spooky. On to the next artifact here. It shows the 20th anniversary celebration in VBSS. Teachers, can you tell us more about it?
Wow, okay, thank you. The 20th anniversary celebrations that we had at Bukit Batok Secondary
She's the
School
OIC.
in 2006. I was given the opportunity to be the overall in charge for that celebration, 20th anniversary celebration. It was really a massive operation at that time because for many reasons. Not only because it was 20th anniversary, but because it was our final year in the old campus. After that, the whole school would move out and we will go to a holding school at Totak. Yeah, and then so the building would be torn down. Okay, I understand not the whole building was torn down, but yes, the whole school moved out. So that 20th anniversary celebration was Mrs. Key wanted to bring together the alumni and the current students to celebrate this epic 20th anniversary before we move out and rebuild the school building, you see. So we had to use everyone's resources to go and contact all the alumni to ask them whether they want to come back to school for a dinner. And I cannot remember, but I think students had to pay a certain small fee to come back for that dinner, right? And
I think it's $30 per head. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then I had to collate all the students from the school started in 1986. So there were students, alumni that came back from 1986 all the way until 2006. Then we had to sort out tables in the school car park, and we had tentages set up in the school car park as well as the basketball courts. There were in all, I think, 2,000 over people who sat down for dinner that night. And we had to engage. We had to engage everyone's help because the performing arts groups came up with all the items to perform on stage. Okay, and then we had dinner. We have to take care of the catering of the dinner. The operator came in and cooked in our canteen to serve for 2,000 over people. The entire school cohort from Sec 1 to Sec 5 sat in the basketball court, and the rest of the alumni was in the car park. So I remember that at that time I did the table layout for that celebration, that dinner, and it was quite massive because I have to have don't know how many tables, then each table labeled with 1986 batch, 1980 whatever batch, and if they could give us their class, then we will put in their class and they will assign the tables, and then staff, and then VIPs, and so on. So that celebration was, I think, really fun because it brought together students and they had the opportunity to come back together to meet each other and sit down and eat and be at their school campus. So I think that's really memorable because thereafter the school building would be different for the past 20 years of students. Yeah. So you want to talk about the school anthem, the school song during that particular celebration?
I wasn't part of the organizing committee, but that dinner, two things I recall. It was late afternoon, and then I received a call from my ex-student, say that Mr. Quek, could we have a small request? I say, yeah, what's up? Then he said that we didn't buy the ticket because we are not free for the dinner. All right, but could we
drop by
and take photo of our classrooms and whatever. Okay, but I remember that afternoon, the security has started cordoning off because they don't want outsiders to come in. You know, it could be a security issue. Those ex-students, alumni who didn't buy the tickets, they're not allowed to come in. My ex-student, I think they were NCC Land boys. Okay.
Again.
Yeah, again, yes. Yeah. So they came in. Of course, I went to the main gate and talked to the guard, and then the guard, I assured the guard that don't worry, I will be with them throughout, and after that I escort them out. Okay, yeah. So the guard, okay, fine, Mr. Quek, I trust you. So I brought I think 2 or 3 boys in. They went to the old NCC Land room, who is now, I believe, the Boys Brigade room. They took photo of it and then they posed there, and then they went to their old classrooms. Okay, and when they went there, they remembered where they sat. They remembered the class cupboard. Okay, they remembered the graffiti they scribbled on the wall. And apparently one of the graffiti is still there, was still there. Yeah. After that, they thanked me. You know, they said, sure, despite of what we did in NCC Land, yeah. And I remember they wasn't very obedient. Yeah, but somehow, okay lah, we managed to click. And then they left. Then came the dinner. Alright, I can't remember the food.
Me neither. I don't remember whether I ate at all.
we remember the company. We were all busy going out taking photographs.
Yeah, all the ex-students
catching up, chit-chatting. Then came the final segment. Alright, the school anthem.
The ending part was the school anthem.
Yeah. So everyone stood up. Okay, there was no need for us to remind the students or whoever to sing the anthem loudly. Okay, when the music came on, we all sang. Okay, I think we sang so loud.
Goosebumps.
And we sang in unison. You know, imagine the alumni and the current batch of students. Okay, it was a marvelous piece. I believe the whole neighborhood heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's where the VBSS school pride comes in. You know, everybody has very good memories, and yeah, it was just that it felt like a family. You know, like a family. Yeah. So much love.
Yeah, the spirit was strong. The
Very
force
strong.
is strong.
Yeah, the force was really strong.
Ah.
Yeah, I think that's really one of my fondest memories. So much love, so much unity, so much togetherness, you know, the family.
If you take away the academic part, the academic achievements and whatever, those boys that came back that day, they told us, they told me, we have more or less forgotten the physics already.
Of course.
but we remember where our gravities are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, teachers. And with that, we've come to an end of another episode of Talking Artefactually, Tales in BBSS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.